Good morning, children. In this class, again we'll continue chapter photosynthesis, and today's topic is the electron transport system. In photosystem 2, the reaction center chlorophyll, it absorbs wavelength of 680 of red light. Now, this excites the electron to jump into the another orbit which are far from the atomic nucleus. An electron acceptor, it picks up these electrons and passes them to the electron transport system, which consists of cytochromes. Now, this movement of electrons is downhill in terms of oxidation, reduction or redox potential. Now, the electrons, they are not used as they pass through the electron transport system, but they are passed on to the pigments of photosystem 1. With it, electrons in the reaction center, they are also excited on receiving red light of wavelength 700 nm, and these are transferred to another acceptor molecule which has greater redox potential. Now, these electrons, they again move downhill in a molecule of energy-rich compound that is known as NADP. By the addition of these electrons, NADP is reduced to NADPH plus H+. Now, photolysis of water takes place in this. Now, it is photosystem 2, it is also characterized by the photolysis of water which release oxygen. When P2 absorbs light, these electrons are released and chlorophyll molecules, they are oxidized. The electrons, they are emitted by P680, they are trapped by P700, and the oxidized 680 regains its electrons by the photolysis of water. Mechanism of photosynthesis. Mechanism of photosynthesis, it involves two different reactions: light dependent reaction or Hill reaction or photochemical phase, and dark or light dependent reaction or biosynthetic phase. The light dependent reaction or Hill reaction or photochemical phase, it occurs in the presence of sunlight in the thylakoid membranes of grana and stroma lamellae. It involves both this photosystem 1 and photosystem 2 and the conversion of the energy into high chemical intermediate in the form of ATP and NADP, H+, H+. This phase is also known as photochemical reaction, and it has several steps like absorption of light, excitation of reaction center, and photosynthetic electron transport and formation of asymmetry products. Now, the absorption of light occurs by harvesting of photosystem 2 and photosystem 1, which absorb sun rays of different wavelengths and transfer the energy to their respective centers. Now, excitation of reaction center involves that when they receive light energy from the respective light harvesting complexes, reaction centers, they become activated and the electrons become excited. Now, the excited electrons, they leave the reaction center and they are received by the primary electron acceptor. Now, due to the absorption or due to the transfer of electrons, P680 and P700, they become electron deficient or highly oxidized. Now, next is the photosynthetic electron transport and formation of asymmetry energy. The electrons which are released from the reaction center of a photosystem 2, they are received by a primary electron acceptor called as phyophytin. From here, the electrons, they move downhill with the electron transport chain to P700, and they move from phyophytin to plastoquinone, cytochrome complex, and plastocyanin. So, during this transfer, the energy loss which is used to generate ATP. Now, finally, these exhausted electrons, they are reduced to photosystem 1. Now, electrons which are released from the reaction center of photosystem 1, they are received by primary electron acceptor and the ferredoxin pigment, which is an iron sulfur protein. From here, the electrons move down to ferredoxin, NADP oxyreductase, and here NADP, it is reduced to NADPH. This causes the reduction of carbon dioxide to sugar during dark reaction and photosynthesis and provides necessary energy. The photosphorylation and ATP, it is also another step in photosynthesis 2. When electrons they move down to photosynthetic electron transport chain, they gradually lose much of their energy. So this energy is used for the synthesis of ATP from ADP. Now the formation of ATP in chlorophyll in the presence of light energy, it is called as photophosphorylation. Now there are two types of photophosphorylation, non-cyclic and cyclic photophosphorylation. So electron from photosystem 2, they are used by the photosystem 1, it is called as non-cyclic photophosphorylation, and the electrons from photosystem 1, they return to the same photosystem, this is called as cyclic photophosphorylation. Now you know children that photosynthesis occurs in bright sunlight and it involves both the systems PS1 and PS2. Now the PS2 they receives the light of shorter wavelength and becomes activated, whereas the photosystem 2 they positively photosystem 2 they obtain electrons from the photolysis water and returns back to the normal stage. Now the electrons that escape from the photosystem 2, they are accepted by the primary electron acceptor phytin and they are transferred to electron transport chain to photosystem 1. So while traveling down the electrons transport chain, the electron lose energy which is used in synthesis of ATP from ADP. Now cyclic photophosphorylation involves only photosystem 1. Now photosystem 2 it becomes inactive and non-cyclic photophosphorylation is stopped. Sometimes when light of longer wavelength is available, only photosystem 1 it gets activated and photosystem 2 they remains inactive. Now when photons they activate photosystem 1, a pair of electrons of P700 reaction center they are raised to a high energy level and leave the photosystem, creating an electron hole in the reaction center P700. They are captured by the primary electron acceptor which passes to the ferredoxin, plastoquinone, cytochrome complex, plastocyanin and finally back to chlorophyll. So they fill the electron holes. In this way the cycle is completed. And at each step of electron transport or the transfer, the electron lose potential energy. Now their trip downhill is used by the transport chain to pump H+ ions across the thylakoid member. The proton gradient triggers ATP synthesis and this term is known as cyclic photophosphorylation. Since they involved pigments of photosystem 1, photolysis of water and consequent evolution of oxygen do not take place in this cyclic photophosphorylation, and there is also no synthesis of NADP to NADPH plus H+. There is a difference between non-cyclic and cyclic. Now, next is light dependent, independent or dark reaction or biosynthetic phase or blackness reaction or carbon dioxide fixation, which we learn in our next class. Till then, thank you and have a nice day.